Hi YouTube people, this is Chris, just putting together another few videos of the progress on the charger. Thanks for tuning in. There's a handful of you out there that kind of keep up with this, and I appreciate that. I don't put out too many videos, mostly because of my editing skills on this iPhone 6 are pretty limited by my ability. But anyhow, I think it's cool that the handful of you are watching. Maybe you get some ideas on how to work on your charger or your Mopar or Chevy or Ford or whatever it is you're working on. So if these videos are helping you a little bit, I think it's awesome that this community of people, pull our knowledge together, and together we get some of these cars back on the road. So that's what this is all about for me. Thank you, and we'll go in the shop here, and I'll cut to the videos that I have on this car. So here we are. Okay, all this sheet metal I purchased from AMD. There's 3 pieces. I might have went over that in some other video, but the floor's cut out, and there's a mark on the black sheet metal, and then a mark on the original sheet metal on the floor in there, because that seam that goes across there obviously is not a factory location for a seam, but there's probably, I don't know, 40 to 50 plug welds, I didn't count them, that go across the back of there, and they turn out really nice. But the sheet metal in the floor of the car past that point, like in the back of the seat area, all that's in really good shape. There's really no reason to replace it at all, so I didn't want to cut that out. It'll have about a 1/2 inch overlap, the black metal laying on top of the factory floor. And right there's a soapstone mark of where it gets cut. So that AMD sheet metal, I guess I'll give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I was pretty happy with how it's formed. It's like an exact replica of the original, at least as far as I could tell. If you drill those perfectly, there's still a section of the metal that you're getting rid of right there that you have to grind off. So even these are laying in there like that. Drill that metal out, throw it away. There's still a little piece of it left. You have to take a grinder too. And this metal is in really good shape. It's totally solid, all original. And here the floor was really rusty, but the frame rails are nice inside. Just surface rust inside of here. But the tops are nice. This is all solid. Sorry about the lighting. There's kind of a close-up. I'll grind that little tab down there a little bit. Each one of those. Little things to fix. You see you have to grind that little piece off right there. But I'm trying not to take off any more of the original metal, of course, than have to. There's seam sealer. This piece is not even attached, from the dealer. They don't, or from the factory, they don't really, the precision in these cars is not really anything to brag about. This sheet metal from the floor just went back in here, and there was no spot welding of that of any kind. That was the last spot weld. This piece just dries out. That was a spot weld I drilled too far through, so I got through both pieces of metal, and that one will have to be, I'll weld that up. I think I did about 2 or 3 of those on this whole project so far, and that's one of them. Seam sealer up in here, pretty crude. And then going over to this side of the car, I'm a little farther along. There's the seam sealer. I scraped that off. I'll probably just go over this again, but all this metal's in good shape. These are ones that I fixed a couple weeks ago down in here. God, the light in here is horrible. I'm sorry. Can't hold a camera and freaking do a good job of this for you guys. And then this is where I'm just taking a grinder and grinding off the factory leftover metal. So the other floor, the panel right here, I will bring it up to this point, and I'm going to overlap it about a 1/2 inch across this whole area. This is underneath the seat belt reinforcement bolt area. I'm gonna crimp it, fold it over so it's the same height, and then I'll plug weld every inch or 2 inches like they did. All right, this is the grinder I'm using a lot. This is a pretty cool grinder. It's kind of bulky, but it's got a forward and reverse on it, and it screams, it's loud. So I'm using hearing protection and eye protection. This thing's a beast, but anyhow, one of the things I like to think of when you're grinding inside of cars is all these sparks of metal are going somewhere. They go down inside of here and get down in the pinch welds between your quarter panel and the frame. So I try not to shoot any metal down in there that I can help. Obviously we'll blow it out with air gun, vacuum, whatever. But anyhow, everything down in here, all this gets cleaned out. Because you get those little pieces of metal, you know, a million pieces of metal down there, they're all gonna condensate, get wet, and then that starts to rust in between your body panels. Same with down inside the doors. When people are grinding and cutting up cars and floors, if the pieces you're keeping, you better keep all that crap out of there, because over the next couple years it's gonna start rusting again. All right, that took a long time to cut that thing in half. So here's the deal. Let's cut off of that piece over there, that air compressor, with that spot welder, that little grinder, and that bigger grinder that needs a lot more air than I have here at my house. But anyhow, we're gonna try to put this in here and see if it fits. Overall, this is probably my favorite part of the car to work on. It's, you know, as far as sheet metal goes and just roughing things out, pretty challenging project, I'll say. Don't take it on unless you're prepared for a lot of patience and patient neighbors, and you've got a pretty good access to basic shop tools and some advanced shop tools. It turned out awesome, and I'm really glad to be done with it. You'll need some pretty good supplies, good quality supplies. Get that weld-through primer for sure, and have access to a good welder. All right, here's kind of a finished product on driver's side floor pan, all welded in. Do kind of a quick, there's what my welds look like. They're stuck down tight against the frame rail piece. Use C-clamps and form the metal just right to where everything's got a nice consistent gap on it from the factory like that. I think that's a good gap. It felt nice. I'm gonna leave those 3 loose until I finish this other side, get that lined up a little better. But it's actually, that side fits in perfectly. Back panel still fits in nice. These are all welded in. So, anyhow, they turned out really nice. I got a lot of pressure on them before I welded them. So those are plug welds. If anybody's got any thoughts on those, good or bad, let me know. That one's a little rough, but I figured, you know what? Sometimes the factory ones are a little rough too. So I used 2 holes, this one and one of these I actually used for sheet metal screws to suck that down tight and get it clamped into place, and then tighten those screws down. So there was 2 reference points of where everything was gonna be solid, and then I just tacked like a 3rd one way over here, and then came back to the frame rail and did a few of those, then did a few of these. It probably took an hour and a half maybe to weld all those in, maybe even closer to 2 hours to fit them all and make them nice. And then the gap underneath here, it's pretty dark, but I'll do this more later. But that line across from the original floor right here, I got nice and straight. That's a factory bend right there. And all the welds came through with good penetration on them. You can see the frame rail there. All right. That took a while. All right, here's a video of this floor pan fitting in. All right, I got the edges right here, weld through primer on both corners. Buffed all the black paint off. Here's how awesome this thing fits. Spent all afternoon drilling holes in this thing. Snaps in. All right, so here's the final. I guess almost final. Hey, my wife's home. God dang, sorry about that. My wife is home. So here's the final fit. That's gonna press down perfectly flat with this panel. All the holes, I drilled one extra hole here that shouldn't be there. I'll fill that in. But everything else lines up perfectly with the frame underneath here. This is over on the passenger side. Corner hole. Every one of these is right on the money. So there's about 2 inches roughly between every one of these holes. There's 7 holes along here. There's 4 here, 3 more. That's 7. Again, 7 up there. 8 actually on this side. And then that transmission, or the driveline hump there, fits perfectly right there. Then on this side, I'll use my foot so I can hold the flashlight in here. Every one of these holes on the driver's side lines up perfectly. There's your rear frame rail. Holes all lined up nicely. See that? Okay, so this is the panels all welded in. All 3 panels are welded in. I suppose there might be pretty close to 200 welds, maybe a few more. Turned out really well. I'm super happy for the results. Took a lot of hours, but it's good. That's the wheelhouse repair on the left rear, matched in with those floor panels. That's all primed and ready to go. The old parts of the floor are all here cut up in a box, and there's some brackets on those. And then that is an engine I just got back that'll be my winter project, so that'll be coming along shortly. I'll make some more videos and see you guys next time around. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.